Good morning, you strange and wonderful weirdos. I'm John.
I'm Stacey.
It's Tuesday, November 1st. It's the Day of the Dead.
It is.
Well, kinda. It's like Day of the Dead today and tomorrow, from best I understand. Or
I think so.
how do you say it correctly?
Dia de los Muertos.
Oh.
Day of the Dead.
You remember when?
I think that's right.
You remember when Gomez got on Morticia?
I think that was because of French.
Well, I know it was with them. I'm a big fan of Spanish and actually kind of all Latin and anything South.
Right.
All good. By the way, today is strange.
All right. Let's start.
What a Halloween it was.
It was great.
It's a heck of a Halloween. So we had never been able to get anything close to what we had in Maine.
Right.
In Maine, we had the most amazing trick-or-treating ever. And it was like 1960s, 1950s. Everything shut down. It was like you expect Michael Myers at any time because it was perfect. Everybody's having a good time. And all the children's were doing children's things. We moved to this neighborhood that we live in, this undisclosed location in Lexington, Kentucky. And best neighborhood ever.
It was amazing. All the kids running around.
Yeah.
It was great. All the trick-or-treating, all the houses participating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic.
We
Not
live in
too
the neighborhood now that people bring their kids to. Really cool. It's like 300 kids, I think your neighbor said.
There was a bunch, yeah.
Our neighbor said. Your neighbor.
Whatever.
All right, tell me why today is strange.
All right, so let's start off with a really cool discovery.
Oh, I love discoveries.
Yes, so this is about a supernatural Bronze Age gold device that was unearthed in the Czech Republic.
Okay. Supernatural gold device?
Yes, it's not really supernatural. You'll see. It's in the Czech Republic, a beet farmer happened to come across this gold artifact, and it was well preserved in mud. And so the farmer photographed it. Looked sort of crumpled up. He took pictures of it, and he sent the pictures to the archaeologist at the Silesian Regional Museum in Opava.
The Sleazy Regional Museum?
Silesian Regional Museum.
Big difference.
Sorry, I probably slurred that together really quickly. In Opava. And what it was, it's a wafer-thin sheet of gold. It was kind of crumpled, and they cleaned it up and straightened it out. Turns out it's about 20 inches long. It was found in near perfect condition with silver, copper, and iron inclusions. They believe, to the best of their knowledge, they're not sure what it is, but they believe it was the front of maybe a belt.
Yeah.
And the reason that they call it supernatural is because it was inscribed with lots of concentric circles and swirls. And so they feel like somebody had a lot of cosmology, supernatural ideas when they crafted it and put the symbolism on it.
Their definition of supernatural differs greatly from mine.
Mine too. Like, it doesn't give you magic powers. I was really hoping it gave you magic powers, but I read the article and that's not what it was.
How do you know it doesn't, though?
I mean, I guess you don't, because it's just part of the object. Maybe there's more to it that they haven't found yet.
It's a very strange belt. I mean, it really does sound very odd.
They claim it's roughly about 2,500 years old, so Bronze Age. So you never know. It could be something.
I mean, yeah, they did a lot of magic back then. Very cool find, though.
It is a very cool find, just for him to be walking through his field and it was just there in the mud. I think
it wanted to be found.
It did. I think they're considering an archaeological dig there, but I don't know if that's been decided yet. Because, if that was found just in perfect condition on the surface in the mud, there has to be stuff underneath, you would think.
Dude, you got to dig.
Yeah, you have to dig.
You have to dig.
All right, let's move on and let's talk about NASA. Yes. So NASA is going to launch what they're calling their Psyche mission. And this is to an asteroid that they named Psyche. And they did have this mission planned a while back, and they canceled it. And you may remember this. This is the asteroid that they believe is worth more than the global economy. They feel like it's full of minerals and metals.
Wow.
That's worth, let me see what the number was. 10,000 quadrillion. I don't even know how much 10,000 quadrillion is. That's a lot.
They could get a hold of Avi Loeb and he could tell them.
He could tell you. So they've decided that they are going to be able to go ahead with the mission now. They've planned it for next year. They've targeted the launch no earlier than October 10th of next year. It was a software issue that kept it from happening last time, but they're going to go ahead with it. They're going to launch it on the back of a SpaceX Falcon. Now, where the mission was going to land...
I wish it was just a SpaceX Falcon.
Just the Falcon. Fly up there. It was supposed to land in October next year, but now it's not going to land until 2026 because they have to wait for like gravitational help from Mars, and it's a big space thing. But they are going to do the mission. They're hoping once they get there, they're going to begin mapping out the asteroid's properties, and fingers crossed, it's got lots and lots of riches up there.
Will that not crash the global economy?
I have no idea.
I don't know. I hope they get there and somebody's already like went through it all.
It's already been mined, and they're like, what? Wait a minute, it's just hollow. That's
how we find out. That's the introduction. There's a bunch of aliens sitting there just like... just flipping us off.
They got like one security guard alien, like eating.
Nice cherry picking, Earthlings.
They said that also part of the mission is NASA's Deep Space Optical Communications Tech Demo, which is going to test high data rate laser space broadband that could mean in the future live video from Mars.
They've got it already.
Live video from Mars.
They've got it already. You know they do. They'll send that beet farmer up there. What you doing?
Find us some gold.
I'm farming some beets, yo.
Oh, wow.
That's what they call them.
That was a little bit of a stretch.
That's what they call them in the Czech Republic. Go ahead.
All right, so let's move on. Let's talk about Maine. You spoke about Maine.
I did.
Let's talk about Maine has decided that they're going to begin removing all of their naughty license plates. So what happened? Yes, what happened back in 2015, Maine decided that they were going to eliminate the review process for vanity license plates.
Oh, yeah. I've seen a bunch.
And what one person described this as was basically a wild, wild west in which motorists ordered vanity license plates with blushing references to sex acts or genitalia.
I've seen a bunch of them.
Any type of profanity that you could think of. Lots of F-bombs. There is a picture of the MILF Mobile.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have an interesting license plate.
But then I moved.
So last year, the Maine legislature...
Love all you mothers out there.
...directed the Bureau of Motor Vehicles to reestablish rules for vetting license plates. So now they've started... They believe there's about 400 offensive plates. They've started sending out letters to recall those plates.
I bet you 399 of them are in the county. If you live up there, you know.
Yeah,
they're all like, "What's the county? Isn't there a bunch of counties?" No,
not like this.
There's one, and it's the county. And then there's all those freaking people down in Portland.
Let me tell you, people can get creative when they want to put a profanity on a license plate, because then they give you a lot of letters. Like here in Kentucky, you only get like 6 spaces. I think in Maine you get like 8 or something, and you can do a lot with that. You can do a lot with creativeness with the vulgar license plates. I'm sad to see them go. They were so fun.
Now you just got to get creative. I mean, you can have vulgar ones just people don't understand. Like,
right, it has to be like an inside joke kind of thing.
I had a bunch of vanity plates earlier on. Mm-hmm. I quit doing it because you become way too identifiable.
Yes, you can't get away with anything.
I had a lot of people easily find me when I didn't want them to find me any longer. So
yeah, but when you put a regular license plate on a nice car, you're still going to be found.
Maybe.
I tried to get one when I had my car because my last name was Fish, so I wanted my vanity license plate just to say Fish, and somebody already had it.
Imagine that.
I couldn't get it. I did get S Fish, so I was Fish. All right, let's move on. So let's talk about Airbnb.
It's going downhill.
It is. So the Airbnb is giving away $100,000 each to 100 people to help them build the most offbeat lodgings they could imagine. So this was a contest that they announced in June, and they had a $10 million OMG fund that supported this. And they got tens of thousands of entries of people sending in their ideas for their unique lodgings that they wanted to build. So they eventually narrowed that down to just 100 winners. And each of those 100 winners is going to get $100,000 to build their Airbnb dream, I guess.
There's going to be some guy just be like, Walter, why do you need the extra 100,000? We gave you all this money.
I need it for the cameras. The cameras that they can't see.
That's right.
You have to know what I'm talking about. You are the Airbnb people. Why else would I have it?
Now, the selected designs range from far out sci-fi creations to clever recycling ones. There's one that is going to look like a giant cereal box. That will be one of them. The Central Texas Pig Rescue is going to be in structure shaped like a giant pig covered in flowers and grass. But it's going to be a building you can stay in, but it's going to look like a giant pig. One submission was a giant flower pot. You can stay in a giant flower pot. A large fossilized dinosaur skull made out of adobe. That one would be kind of cool.
That's awesome.
One of the judges of this, her name is Christy Wolf. She made headlines a few years ago because she created her Big Idaho Potato Hotel. And it's a vacation rental you can rent out. It looks like a big potato.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So kind of interesting. I guess they're trying to boost that Airbnb quirky side. They do have an OMG section when you go on there that you can look at. And
apparently, they've really dropped in popularity, and they've been hurting
they have been
a lot.
Well, hopefully these quirky places to stay will help them. It's nice that they're giving people. I mean, that's a lot of money to build
I never found the attraction. I don't like staying in people's houses.
No.
I'd much rather just go get a really pimp, hotel room. And
right. Well, something like this would be different because people aren't going to live in like a big potato. They're just going to build it to rent out. So it's going to be like getting a cabin or something. You would live in a big potato,
totally.
would you?
Totally. I want to be the crazy old man in the potato.
In the potato.
Just scare kids when they go by. That'd be awesome.
Oh, wow.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway.
It'd be awesome. All right, let's move on. So let's talk about Michigan. Last night, some trick-or-treating in one neighborhood in Michigan was canceled after there was a massive cockroach infestation. They had to shut the street down. Yes, the garbage collectors in the area discovered the roaches and called the police. And it's because of an abandoned home that's there. I guess they're just breeding in there, and it got so bad that they were out on the street, and when the garbage men went by to pick up some trash bags, they saw them, and the police came, and the infestation was so bad on the street and everything that they closed that whole street down.
Like, hey, what's up, Chester? Come on, eh? Come on, say.
Well, they were afraid. They did say that a lot of trick-or-treaters would probably help kill the roaches by walking on them, but they were afraid that kids would drag the eggs home, like
oh my
on their
God.
bags and stuff, and they didn't want to spread it further. Isn't that disgusting?
In other news, they had to close down the next lane too because of lice.
Oh, it's terrible.
This after last year's fiasco with the crabs.
Oh, I feel so bad for anybody that lives in that neighborhood, and now that you can't trick or treat, just living in that neighborhood, that would be horrible. I could, it just gives me the willies thinking about it. All right, let's move on to our last story. All right,
sorry,
this
Timmy. We can't go this year.
But why, Mom?
Well, the cockroaches, sweetie.
They've moved into that abandoned house.
I hate you.
They're living there. All right, let's move on to our last story from Noonan, Georgia. And this is about some burglars that were captured. Now, earlier in the month, there was a string of burglaries over a course of 3 days. Now, one of the incidents occurred on October 4th, and when the deputies came to the home, the man said that he left his home around 6 a.m., and he returned about 2 a.m., and he noticed that his truck was moved into the garage, and when he went inside the home...
6 a.m.?
He came home at 2 p.m. Excuse me. I said that wrong. I apologize. He came home at 2 p.m.
Okay.
Yes, and so when he came back, you were so confused. He noticed his truck had been moved, and when he went inside his home, he noticed that there were things missing. There was like a beanie on the counter that didn't belong to him, and some of his items were missing. They tried to pull out one of the AC units, and some of his guns and things were gone. And he happened to mention that they stole a bag of Milky Ways from his refrigerator, along with his clothes and guns and ammo, things like that. So the police were searching around, and there was some woods near the house. And when they went in the woods, they noticed a Milky Way wrapper on the ground. So they went a little further, and they found another Milky Way wrapper. And they followed those Milky Way wrappers through the woods until they came to Shady Oaks Mobile Home Park, where the suspects lived. And they were able to apprehend the thieves because of the trail of candy wrappers. Apparently, they would go through the woods. They would steal things. They would go back through the woods to hide their trail, except for this time. They would hide the stuff in the woods, cover it with leaves until they could go back and get it. But this time, someone was hungry and left a trail right to their door.
I bet I can picture these people. I'm just telling you. I bet I can picture these people.
And yeah, that's how they were captured. That's some good detective work right there.
So, probably a couple. Wouldn't you think?
There was four thieves.
Maybe a couple with friends?
Maybe.
Or something. I don't know. I bet there was a very angry spouse. You know, you would think that there was some spouse involved there because it was back at the trailer.
Right.
I can only imagine that argument on the way to jail.
Mm-hmm.
Can't you?
Yes.
Be like, if your fat ass hadn't eaten on Milky Way.
Do you think anybody said anything on the way back to the house? Like maybe you shouldn't be dropping those Milky Way wrappers, or
they are dumbass
need
thieves
to eat
from
those?
Shady Oaks Trailer Park in Georgia.
Right.
The chances of them saying something
are pretty slim, huh? Pretty slim.
And that's why today is strange.